$26 million. You know, when you hear a massive number like that, your mind probably jumps straight to some Hollywood blockbuster, right? You picture a highly coordinated, high-stakes bank heist. A team of smooth criminals in dark clothing, dodging laser grids, cracking massive steel safes, and then speeding away in a fleet of getaway cars. But what if I told you that one of the most successful multi-million-dollar operations in recent history involved absolutely none of that? No ski masks, zero dramatic escapes, and actually no broken laws at all. We're going to look at how pure mathematics literally printed $26 million, setting the stakes for a story that is just as incredible as it is surprising.
And I think this just brilliantly illustrates the absolute absurdity of this true story. This wasn't some gang of criminal masterminds. This was a multi-million-dollar heist executed completely legally by a retired couple in their 60s. I mean, we're talking about folks whose biggest daily risk was supposed to be, a tough crossword puzzle, not systematically dismantling a state lottery. It completely flips the script on what a heist is supposed to look like. It is, for sure, the ultimate wholesome underdog story, and it relies entirely on seeing what literally everyone else missed.
Okay, let's dive into this. Today, in this explainer, we're unpacking the wholesome heist, cracking the lottery math. We're going to break down exactly how two seemingly ordinary people outsmarted a massive, well-funded system using nothing but basic logic and arithmetic. So if you've ever wondered if the system can actually be beaten fairly, well, this is the explainer for you. Let's get right into the actual mechanics of how they pulled this off.
Section 1. The Unlikely Lottery Masterminds.
So, before we can really understand the math, we have to understand the people behind the math. Meet Jerry and Marge Selbee. They went from everyday retirees to strategic masterminds, and they were just living a quiet, really mundane retirement. Jerry had spent years working everyday jobs, doing time as a janitor and running a local convenience store. But Jerry, well, he had a unique way of looking at the world. While most people see lottery tickets as, a tax on people who are bad at math, Jerry actually liked math. He saw systems, he saw patterns, and he saw numbers where the rest of us just see random chance. And it was exactly this wholesome, ordinary background that perfectly camouflaged the highly coordinated crew they were about to become.
Section 2. Cracking the WinFall loophole. Okay, so this is where Jerry's analytical mind met a very specific, incredibly flawed state system. This is where the magic really happens. Look at standard lottery odds. In normal games like Powerball or Mega Millions, the math is rigged so the house basically always wins. The odds are astronomically against you. But then we have the WinFall loophole. WinFall was this specific state lottery game with a very unique set of rules. Jerry read the fine print and realized there was a minor statistical loophole. Under certain conditions, the math just flipped. Instead of a guaranteed loss over time, this specific game offered a guaranteed positive return on investment. It wasn't gambling anymore, guys. It was literally an equation waiting to be solved.
Section 3. The Law of Large Numbers.
Now, what's really interesting here is the actual mathematical lockpick they used to exploit this game. It all comes down to the law of large numbers. This is a mathematical theorem stating that the average of the results from a large number of trials converges on the expected value. But what does that actually mean in plain English for our retirees? Well, it means if you buy 10 lottery tickets, you are heavily relying on luck. You could easily lose it all. But if you buy tens of thousands of lottery tickets, when the mathematical expected value is actually in your favor, luck is completely removed from the equation. The law of large numbers completely neutralized their risk. As long as they bought enough tickets, a predictable, profitable outcome was practically guaranteed.
So Jerry's blueprint was shockingly simple, and it really breaks down into just 3 steps. Step 1, identify the statistical loophole in the WinFall game. Step 2, buy tickets in massive volume. And I mean massive. We aren't talking about spending a few bucks, we're talking about literal garbage bags full of tickets to satisfy that law of large numbers. And step 3, guarantee a positive ROI. By executing these steps, Jerry and Marge legally weaponized math. They essentially turned the lottery terminal at their local store into a personal ATM that just printed money.
Section 4. Scaling the betting syndicate. To truly make this work, though, they couldn't just use their pocket change. Look at how this escalated over time. Year 1, it starts as this solo retirement hobby for Jerry and Marge, just kind of testing the waters. But by year 5, they realize the more money they put in, the more money they are absolutely guaranteed to get out. So they get their neighbors to join the syndicate. They pool their money together, and by year 10, this quaint little retirement hobby has completely transformed into a massive, multi-million-dollar operation. They had essentially created a local investment firm, all entirely based on buying lottery tickets.
You really get a sense of why this is such an amazing story. They combined their neighborhood resources. They bought tickets in massive bulk, spending literally hours on end simply printing out tickets. but the most important part? They shared the millions in profits. The Selbees weren't some greedy villains trying to hoard wealth on a private island somewhere. No, they brought their friends, their family, and their entire town into the fold. They beat a flawed system together, sharing the wealth and lifting up their whole community.
Section 5. Outsmarting the state officials. Now, of course, when millions of dollars start flowing into one tiny town, people are going to notice. State lottery officials eventually spotted the massive, highly localized payouts. They launched all these investigations, totally assuming fraud or corruption was at play. And what followed was a tense, decade-long cat-and-mouse game between government officials and these sweet, everyday retirees. So the crucial point is this. The state couldn't arrest pure math. Every single time officials investigated, they found the exact same thing. The Selbees weren't hacking machines, they weren't bribing clerks. Everything they did was completely 100% legal. They simply read the rules the state itself published and played the game way better than the state had designed it.
This truly is, quote, the ultimate wholesome underdog story mixed with pure mathematics. It's an absolute testament to what happens when sharp observation meets community trust. Jerry and Marge proved that you don't actually need to break the law to beat the house, you just need to understand the numbers better than the house does. They found a flaw, scaled an incredibly impressive operation, and achieved an unbelievable victory for the everyday person.
Which brings us to a really fascinating final thought for you to ponder. If you found a legal mathematical loophole, an absolute guarantee to print money, what would you do? Would you keep it a secret, all for yourself? Or would you share the wealth with your neighbors like Jerry and Marge? I mean, it's really easy to say we'd all be as generous as the Selbees, but when the millions actually start rolling in, human nature can be a tricky thing. Think about the moral and the mathematical implications of this incredible true story. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and hey, keep your eyes open. You really never know where the next big loophole might be hiding.